Welcome to CSC Movie Recaps. Today I will be recapping a Korean crime drama, Money Heist, Korea episodes 1 to 6. In the year 2025, North Korea had just allowed the South into its country, creating a new combined economic zone where the wealthy profited, while the underprivileged struggled. Lee Hong-dan, a former North Korean soldier who is now heading south to live the Korean dream, is the protagonist of the first chapter. She unfortunately loses all of her money in a scam and starts a life of crime after quitting her work. Just before she ends it all, her companion in crime is dead and the cops are looking for her. The professor hires Hong-dan to work for him. In order to pull off the heist of the century and print and steal 4 trillion won from the newly built Unified Korea Mint, in the joint economic area, the professor has put together a team of 8 persons. They adopt code names depending on countries in order to remain anonymous. Tokyo is Hong-dan. She is joined by an ex-gang member, the escaped North Korean prisoner Berlin, the con artist Nairobi, the brilliant hacker Rio, Moscow, and his son Denver, an underground fighter, and brothers, Oslo, and Helsinki. Nairobi and Tokyo enter through the front door on the day of the heist, while the rest sneak in on a currency truck. They are holding hostage the Mint employees as well as a group of visiting students. They then set off the police alarm and engage in a gunfight with them, but quickly retreat back into the Mint to give the appearance of a failed robbery attempt. The chief of police, Jun Jong-seo, South Korean crisis negotiator Seon Woo-jin, and North Korean captain Cha Moo-hyuk form a task force to defuse the hostage situation. Peaceful negotiations are shattered when Moo-hyuk organizes a military raid on the Mint against Woo-jin's wishes. The professor, who is giving orders from outside the Mint, responds by dressing the hostages in the same outfit as his own team, making them indistinguishable. As a trump card, they reveal via live stream that the daughter of the US ambassador, and Kim, is one of the hostages in the Mint. Moo-hyuk, having been outwitted, orders a retreat. Woo-jin, who has been sent home, is out on a dinner date. Woo-jin has no idea that her boyfriend is the criminal mastermind behind the heist she is currently assigned to. Woo-jin returns the next morning and assumes command of the task force. She restarts negotiations with the professor to ensure the hostages' safety. The hostages are divided into 2 groups, one for printing money and the other for digging a tunnel. Cho Young-minit, the Mint's director, and Yoon Mi-sun, his mistress and employee, are among the hostages. Young-minit begs Mi-sun to assist him in retrieving his smartwatch from his office, so that he can contact the police. Mi-sun claims to be pregnant, and is granted permission to take a break in a separate room, from which she sneaks out and retrieves the watch. Sensing something is wrong, the professor learns from Woo-jin during a date that the police have made contact with the hostage via a smartwatch. With this information, Berlin, the second in command, searches thoroughly for all hostages and discovers the watch on Mi-sun. Despite the professor's explicit orders not to kill anyone, Denver is forced to execute Mi-sun. He drags her to the bathroom and shoots her in the leg instead of killing her. Mi-sun pretends to be dead and successfully fools Berlin. Tokyo discovers she is still alive and assists in her concealment in the underground vault. Unsatisfied with Berlin's oppressive rule, Tokyo and Denver decide to depose him. They ambush and capture Oslo and Helsinki, both allies of Berlin, before confronting him in his office. Following a heated debate, they decide to settle it democratically through a vote. After learning that their identities have been discovered by the police through the leaked images from the smartwatch, both Nairobi and Rio take Berlin's side, believing they are being too gentle on the hostages. Moscow, who is unaware of what has occurred, is astounded to learn that his son Denver has murdered Mi-sun. He walks out of the Mint, distraught, to surrender in his son's place for Mi-sun's murder. As they lay in the open, countless snipers train their sights on them. Denver tackles Moscow to the ground and tells him that she is still alive. To perplex the snipers, Berlin dispatches the heist team, which includes masked and armed hostages. One of the hostages, Young-minit, points his gun at Tokyo and threatens to shoot if he is not released. Woo-jin gives the order to shoot an innocent man after mistaking Young-minit for the captor. In the midst of the chaos, the heist team retreats and returns Young Minute to the Mint. Woo-jin persuades the professor to allow doctors to treat Young Minute inside the Mint. While the heist team is focused on the doctors, the task force devises a plan to infiltrate the Mint in secret. The infiltration team will wear the same outfit and mask as the heist team. Moo-hyuk enters the Mint with the medical team while wearing glasses with a hidden camera to provide live updates from the inside. The professor sees through their plan and instructs everyone to wear a different mask in order to distinguish themselves from the infiltrators. Outplayed once more, Woo-jin orders the mission to be cancelled. The medical team departs after treating Young Minute's wounds. Ryo, unbeknownst to Moo-hyuk, had installed spying software on his phone, allowing them to listen in on police conversations at any time. Meanwhile, Mi-seon is bleeding and requires immediate medical attention. Ryo, a medical school dropout, overcomes his aversion to blood and saves Mi-seon's life. Unfortunately, Berlin discovers Mi-seon's survival and threatens to shoot her. Denver poses in front of Berlin's gun, revealing his growing fondness for Mi-seon. Nairobi arrives at the last second and stops him, refusing to support the murder of an innocent woman. Berlin is imprisoned for repeatedly defying the professor's orders, and Tokyo takes over as team leader. The lives of team members prior to the heist are revealed in a flashback. Berlin was 9 years old when he was caught defecting from North Korea and imprisoned. He spent the next 25 years in prison, his entire life surrounded by violence, until one day he took complete control of the prison and escaped. Ryo comes from a wealthy family, but he and his father are estranged. Despite his nausea at the sight of blood, his father forced him, like many others in the family, to become a doctor. Both Moscow and Denver are ex-convicts who were frequently arrested. Moscow had only recently been released from prison when he was approached by the professor. He enlisted Denver's help so that they could both live decent lives after the heist. The professor was once a real economics professor. To put his ideas into action, he worked with powerful politicians to develop an economic cooperation plan for a unified Korea. This resulted in the establishment of the Common Economic Zone, in which the wealthy and powerful prospered while the poor suffered. In the present, Tokyo is in charge. The hostages are granted greater freedom, and Mi-seon is permitted to rejoin them. Park Chul-woo, the commander of the infiltration team, had remained behind and blended in as a hostage, unbeknownst to the heist team. Instead of rescuing hostages, Moo-hyuk gives him new orders to find and kill the professor. Moo-hyuk keeps the mission a secret because he suspects Woo-jin is working for the professor. Woo-jin suspects the professor of coordinating the heist from outside the Mint after a phone call with him. She discovers records of a used car similar to the one used by Ryo and Nairobi prior to the heist in a junkyard. She decides to track down the car in order to gather evidence that will reveal the identities of the heist team. The professor overhears their plan through Moo-hyuk's tapped phone and rushes to the junkyard ahead of the cops. He finds the used car first, but he is now surrounded by cops in a desperate attempt to flee. He drives the car away from the wrecking yard. A high-speed car chase ensues. The professor narrowly escapes while destroying the car. Back in the Mint, Chul-woo is convinced that Tokyo is the professor and sets a trap for her, activating the fire alarm and filling the room with fumes from a fire extinguisher. Tokyo walks right into Chul-woo's crosshairs as he enters the smoke-filled room. Berlin, who had escaped from his cuffs, appears seconds before pulling the trigger and shoots him down. He agrees to let Tokyo lead the team and will collaborate with her to complete the heist successfully. Woo-jin devises a plan to turn public opinion against the heist team after learning of Chul-woo's death. Woo-jin persuades the professor to let her and a cameraman enter the Mint to provide a live broadcast of the hostage situation. Berlin gathers the hostages and allows Woo-jin to verify their safety. As part of the plan, Woo-jin has added Chul-woo's name to the hostage list and lies that he is a security guard at the Mint and tries to tell her what happened but is stopped by Tokyo. She boldly asserts that the heist team has broken their promise to not harm hostages by killing Chul-woo and demands for the student's release. Surprisingly, the heist team has been keeping an ace up their sleeve, revealing that Chul-woo is still alive. Because he was wearing a bulletproof vest, he survived the gunshots. The professor also leaked video footage of Chul-woo's covert infiltration to the press, endangering the hostages' safety. Woo-jin's plan backfired, inciting widespread public outrage against the police. She abandons the mint in defeat. Moscow, who has been digging an escape route for the past 4 days, reports that it is nearly complete late at night. As they near the end of their heist, the team celebrates. Denver pays a visit to Mi-sun to bid her farewell. They've fallen in love and are having a passionate night together. The professor meets a distraught Woo-jin on a date. He loves her and feels terrible about the pain he has caused her. Their date is cut short when Woo-jin discovers An's hidden message, a torn piece of newly printed Korean currency.